be involved. It's kind of hard to ignore anything if everybody's actually standing up. And then now take that thought process of think about something and combine it with a physical action. And it was a very powerful question too. Have you thanked everybody? Well, I hope so, but undoubtedly, we've all forgotten to thank somebody, so you didn't really want to sit down and be like, well, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking, as a matter of fact. It was very, very powerful. It really got us thinking. You then got into what I wasn't sure was the rest of your intro, or if you're actually starting your speech, until you got to a very specific part where you said that you were going to tell us your insights about your sister, and I thought you said a poem as well.
For some reason, the light went off, so.
Very good, very good. You accounted for time then. I was not watching your time. So that was very good. Very, very effective use of time is if you run out, cut it off, because especially if you're in a competition, there is no overtime. One of the things you mentioned when you talked about the ferry ride, you said you were going, it was Chesapeake Bay, right? Okay, you said you were going down the bay. Does anybody think they could draw a picture of Chesapeake Bay? Because I couldn't. And it threw me, because I thought, who goes down a bay? You go across a bay. Well, Chesapeake Bay is actually very long. So yes, you would in fact go down the bay. So from one perspective, I was confused at first, and perhaps a little bit of maybe an understanding of the geography of the area, so people know. Because I would have thought you go down a river. You don't never go down a bay. You just go across it, whether it's north, south, or east, west, or whatever. You told us that you were going to give us insights, and you gave us 3 about the whites only sign, about the music, the poetry, even the scariness of her as she's basically quoting scripture, and the fact that she had the bachelor's with honors. You really described her strengths, you described her interests, and why, in that process, why you really appreciate and admire her. And what I thought was great was only one time did you ever talk about your sister saying something. Everything else was the impression of her that you got, as opposed to, well, she said this, and she did that. Everything was your impression of her, which I thought was very powerful, especially thinking you were a young girl looking up to your sister. You also ended very powerfully by actually having her on the phone. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that before. And at the same time, now I know you were running out of time, but the one thing I think, depending on how much time you would have been that call to action. That just even one sentence of, after the meeting, why don't you all call someone and thank them or tell them how much you appreciate them. So very powerful speech, and thank you for sharing your sister with us.